Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins made some strategic moves this week that could have significant implications as they gear up for the regular season. One of the most notable transactions was the signing of veteran offensive lineman Germain Ifedi. At 31 years old, Ifedi brings a wealth of experience and versatility to Miami's offensive front, a unit that has been under scrutiny in recent years due to injuries and inconsistent play. The Dolphins are clearly looking to bolster their depth and protect quarterback Tua Tagovailoa as they aim to build on last season's playoff appearance. Ifedi, a former first-round pick in a 2016 NFL draft by the Seattle Seahawks, has carved out a journeyman career across multiple franchises. His arrival in South Beach signals not just another camp body, but someone who could realistically compete for a roster spot or even a rotational role given his history as a starter. With over 100 NFL games under his belt and the ability to play, both guard and tackle, Ifedi adds insurance and flexibility, two qualities that offensive line coaches absolutely covet. This isn't just a throwaway signing. This is a calculated move by the Dolphins front office, showing once again that they're leaving no stone unturned in their pursuit of becoming a true AFC powerhouse. While not a flashy headline grabber, this is the type of savvy depth move that pays dividends in the meat of the season. To accommodate Ifedi's addition, the Dolphins made a tough decision to waive undrafted rookie quarterback Brett Gabbert. The younger brother of veteran QB Blaine Gabbert-Brett came into camp with long odds to make the final 53-man roster, especially with a relatively stable quarterback room led by Tagovailoa and solidified by experienced backups. While Gabbert showed flashes potential during OTAs and early training camp practices, the numbers game at quarterback often squeezes out those on the fringe. Miami simply couldn't justify holding on to a developmental QB at the expense of reinforcing the trenches, a decision rooted in realism rather than sentiment. It's a harsh reality of the NFL talent alone doesn't guarantee opportunity, and sometimes promising players like Gabbert are victims of roster math. His release could potentially open the door for him to land on Miami's practice squad if he clears waivers or perhaps latch on with another QB-needy team looking for a developmental option. Either way, the move underscores the team's priorities. Heading into the heart of training camp where positional battles are intensifying and the margin for error is razor thin, Miami is laser-focused on optimizing every spot on its roster, and unfortunately for Gabbert, that meant the end of his Dolphins. Chapter. For now. Another significant roster update came with the activation of safety Ifeatu Melifonwu from the active PUP list. Melifonwu's return is great news for Miami's secondary, a unit already stacked with talent but also heavily reliant on health and availability. The 24-year-old defensive back, known for his physicality and coverage versatility, was sidelined during the early stages of camp with an undisclosed injury, but his activation signals that he's now cleared to participate in full practices. This is a timely development for a Dolphins defense that thrives on interchangeable pieces in the secondary, especially under the guidance of defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver. Melifonwu's size and athleticism make him a unique chess piece, capable of covering tight ends, assisting in the box against the run, and matching up with bigger slot receivers. His presence deepens an already competitive group featuring Jevon Holland, Deshaun Elliott, and rookie standout Patrick McMorris. If Melifonwu can stay healthy and stack good practices, he has a legitimate shot at carving out a meaningful role in Miami's defensive scheme. Beyond depth, he could contribute significantly on special teams where his physical tools and football IQ shine just as brightly. His activation is more than procedural. It's a sign that the Dolphins are steadily getting healthier and more complete as they move closer to week 1. For Germain Ifedi, this opportunity with the Dolphins represents yet another chapter in a career that has seen its share of twists and turns. After being selected 31st overall by the Seahawks in 2016, he was seen as a cornerstone of Seattle's long-term plans on the offensive line. However, inconsistency in pass protection and penalties often marred his tenure in the Pacific Northwest. Seattle declined his fifth-year option, and he entered free agency in 2020 with questions about his future. A one-year, $1 million deal with the Chicago Bears gave him a chance to prove his worth, and he responded with a solid campaign that earned him another one-year contract worth up to $5 million the following season. From there, Ifedi's path included stints with the Falcons, Lions, Bills, and most recently, the Browns. Though he never quite returned to full-time starter status, he remained a valuable veteran presence capable of stepping in when injury struck. His resilience and ability to adapt to multiple systems make him an attractive option for teams seeking depth, especially in a league where offensive line play can make or break a season. Ifedi's signing by the Dolphins isn't just about the past, it's about what he can still offer going forward. In 2024, Ifedi showed he still had something left in the tank, suiting up in 15 games for the Cleveland Browns and making 7 starts. He proved he could still handle the rigors of NFL trench warfare. Though not dominant, his performance was steady and serviceable, traits that are often underrated until injuries pile up late in the year. The Dolphins are betting that same veteran reliability will pay off during the long grind of an 18-week regular season. Miami's offensive line endured its share of bumps and bruises last year, so bringing in someone like Ifedi gives the team a safety valve if one of the starters goes down. His ability to play both right tackle and right guard also aligns well with Mike McDaniel's zone blocking scheme, which prizes mobility and intelligence just as much as brute strength. Ifedi's technique has sharpened over time, and his understanding of blitz pickup and pre-snap reads can be invaluable in a young locker room. While he may not push starters like Austin Jackson or Robert Hunt for their spots, his veteran savvy could elevate the performance of those around him, especially in film study and position group meetings. In a league driven by parity and razor-thin margins, having that kind of experience waiting in the wings can be the difference between a playoff berth and watching from home. From a roster-building perspective, Miami's recent moves speak to a front office that understands the marathon nature of the NFL season. General Manager Chris Grier has quietly earned a reputation for shrewd personnel decisions, especially when it comes to layering depth across critical position groups. By signing Ifedi and activating Melifonwu while parting ways with a developmental quarterback, the Dolphins have demonstrated a firm grasp of short-term needs without compromising long-term flexibility. These are not headline-grabbing transactions, but they are meaningful ones, and they reflect a front office that's playing chess, not checkers, and a coaching staff committed to fielding the most prepared 53-man roster possible. In a competitive AFC East that features the Bills, Jets, and Patriots, every marginal gain matters. Depth on the offensive line check, versatility in the secondary check, sacrificing a low-priority position like third-string quarterback to achieve those gains. That's just smart football. It's also a sign that the Dolphins are past the rebuild stage. This is a team that expects to contend and is managing its roster accordingly. The message is clear if you can contribute to a playoff. Run, you're welcome. If not, you're expendable. While some fans may lament the release of a young quarterback like Brett Gabbert, the reality is the NFL is a meritocracy, especially in training camp. Gabbert, despite his college pedigree and name recognition, was always a long shot to make the team. Miami simply doesn't have the luxury of carrying a project quarterback on the active roster when other areas demand attention and reinforcement. That said, there's a real possibility Gabbert returns to the Dolphins via the practice squad provided he clears waivers. If so, it would allow Miami to retain his rights while continuing to develop him behind the scenes. The team's quarterback room remains firmly anchored by Tagovailoa, whose health is paramount to the franchise's success this season. Veteran depth such as Mike White or Skylar Thompson offers a more immediate solution if disaster strikes. Gabbert, by contrast, is more of a long-term investment, and those don't always align with the urgency of an NFL training camp. That doesn't mean his journey ends here, but for now, his role in Miami's 2025 plans has been put on hold. It's a stark reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in this league and how every rep, every practice snap is a critical audition. As for Ifeatu Melifonwu, his return to full activity injects even more competition into a secondary that's brimming with talent and ambition. Standing at 6'3" with elite athleticism, Melifonwu fits the mold of today's hybrid safety. A player who can drop back in coverage, roam the middle, or come downhill and thump and run support. His versatility is something the Dolphins coaching staff will undoubtedly explore over the next several weeks. With joint practices and preseason games around, the corner Melifonwu will have every opportunity to showcase his value in real-time scenarios. This is a make-or-break camp for him, and his early activation bodes well. Coaches love players who can do multiple things well, and if Melifonwu can prove he's more than just a backup, he could force his way into defensive packages or sub-packages by the time the regular season kicks off. Beyond defense, he's a core special teams contributor, an often overlooked but vital component of any NFL roster. If he stays healthy and continues to stack positive days, don't be surprised if Melifonwu becomes one of the under-Therida standouts of camp. His ceiling is high, and the Dolphins are giving him the runway to reach it. Zooming out, the Dolphins' 3 transactions this week may seem minor in the grand scheme, but together they paint a portrait of a front office and coaching staff in sync, laser-focused and detail-oriented. They understand that championships aren't won in July or August, but teams that contend in December and January are usually the ones that made the right calls during training camp. Whether it's reinforcing the offensive line with a seasoned pro like Jermaine Ifedi, making hard but necessary cuts like Brett Gabbert, or activating a promising talent like Ifeatu Melifonwu, each move adds another layer to Miami's roster. Strategy. These are not glamorous decisions, but they are the kind that build resilience, create internal competition, and prepare a team for the inevitable adversity of an NFL season. As training camp continues and the preseason unfolds, fans should watch closely, not just for highlight plays or big names, but for these subtle shifts that often make all the difference. The Dolphins are quietly doing the hard work now so they can roar when the lights come on. That's the mark of a franchise that knows exactly where it wants to go and how to get there. Still with us, then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments what's your take on the Fins this week. If the whispers coming out of South Florida are true, then the Miami Dolphins have just pulled off one of the most jaw-dropping, spine-tingling, goosebump-inducing moves of this NFL offseason. Sources close to the situation, and we're talking sources who are rarely wrong when it comes to Dolphin news, are saying that RASUL Douglas has arrived in Miami. Yes, you heard that, right? RASUL Douglas. The same RASUL who's been a shutdown corner and a leader in every locker room he stepped into. He's reportedly signed on the dotted line. And if this turns out to be more than just smoke, then the fire Miami is cooking on defense just got a whole lot hotter. This isn't just another free agency move. This is a statement, a power shift, a potential playoff-altering addition that could tilt the scales in the AFC East. Because RASUL doesn't just bring coverage skills, he brings IQ, attitude, and an edge that Miami's defense has been craving for years. Now, let's rewind just a bit and really unpack what this could mean. RASUL Douglas, in case you've been living under a rock or maybe just hyper-focused on offensive trades this offseason, has built a reputation as one of the most underrated cornerbacks in the league. We're talking about a guy who reads quarterbacks like a novel, jumps routes like he's in a track meet, and brings down receivers with a physicality that sends a message on every single snap. He's not just a plug-and-play guy, he's a culture shifter. He turned heads in Green Bay, made his mark in Philly, and became a cornerstone in Buffalo. So why would he suddenly land in Miami? That's the million-dollar question. Some insiders are saying RASUL himself initiated contact. Others hint that Miami's front office has been quietly laying the groundwork for this move since the end of last season. Whatever the case, if this is true, it's a move that instantly upgrades the Dolphins' secondary and adds championship-caliber grit. And here's the thing. Miami wasn't exactly lacking on defense to begin with. They've got a pass rush that can collapse pockets, linebackers who fly to the ball like heat-seeking missiles, and a defensive line that eats up double teams like it's breakfast. But in today's NFL, where wide receivers are getting faster, smarter, and more explosive, you can never have too many elite corners. That's where RASUL fits in like a glove. Think about it. Pairing him with Jalen Ramsey. That's nightmare. fuel for opposing quarterbacks. You could almost hear Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and even Patrick Mahomes letting out a collective groan. Because it's not just about talent, it's about chemistry. RASUL brings a veteran presence, a film junkie mentality, and a leadership quality that elevates everyone around him. In a league where defense still wins championships, this could be the sneaky silent blockbuster of the offseason. The buzz around the league is growing by the hour. Agents are whispering, scouts are taking notice, and Miami fans are already flooding social media with highlight reels and jersey mock-ups. And who could blame them? RASUL isn't the flashy TikTok dancing type of player. He's the quiet assassin, the technician, the guy who studies your favorite receiver's footwork and jumps the route before the ball even leaves the quarterback's hand. He thrives in big moments, and he's not afraid to speak up in the locker room or hold teammates accountable. That's exactly the kind of presence Miami needs as they try to turn playoff appearances into deep playoff runs. And maybe, just maybe, a Super Bowl berth. It's hard not to get caught up in the hype, especially when the fit seems this perfect. RASUL in aqua and orange? That just sounds right, doesn't it? Of course, and with any rumor this big, there's always the possibility that things fall through. We've seen deals collapse at the last second over physicals, contract language, or just good old-fashioned cold feet. But something about this one feels different. It's not being reported with hesitation or second guessing. It's being whispered with confidence, with that little smirk insiders get when they know something juicy is about to break. If RASUL really is in Miami, then you can bet your bottom dollar that the Dolphins didn't just stumble into this. This is part of a bigger plan, a strategic retooling of their defense that could take them from good to great, and from great out to elite. Because in a league where margins are razor thin, adding a guy like Rasul Douglas could be the very piece that tips the scale when it matters most. January football. Let's talk scheme for a second, because this isn't just about star power, it's about fit. Miami's defensive coordinator loves to mix coverages, disguise blitzes, and create chaos for quarterbacks. RASUL thrives in that kind of chaos. He's not a system player, he's a Swiss Army knife. Zone, man, press, off ball, doesn't matter. He's done it all and done it well. Put him in a scheme where his instincts can take over and he becomes a turnover machine. And turnovers are exactly what Miami needs if they're going to go toe-to-toe with the likes of the Chiefs, Bengals, and Ravens. This isn't a plug-in. Hope for the best kind of move. This is chess, not checkers. RASUL knows how to bait quarterbacks, how to set traps, and how to finish plays. That's a rare skill set. One that doesn't just impact games, it wins them. It's also worth noting the ripple effect this move could have on the rest of the team. Young corners like Cam Smith and Katakohu get to learn from a seasoned vet who's seen it all. They create safeties. Play with more freedom when they trust the corners to lock things down. Linebackers blitz with more confidence. Pass rushers get those extra split seconds to get home because the coverage is tight. RASUL's presence wouldn't just be felt on the stat sheet, it would echo through every defensive meeting, every film session, and every fourth quarter stand. He brings an aura, that intangible it factor that only a few defenders in the league really have. And Miami, with its young core and explosive offense, might just be one elite veteran away from becoming a complete team. If that's RASUL, Douglas, then buckle up. This season just got real interesting. But let's not forget the narrative aspect here. Miami's been close before. They've had the talent, they've had the hype, but something's always gone slightly off script. Injuries, missed tackles, mental lapses in big moments. Bringing in someone like RASUL is about more than just X's and O's. It's about shifting the mindset, instilling a belief, turning potential into production. Every great team has that one mid to late off-season move that doesn't just fill a gap, it completes the puzzle. Could this be that move for Miami? The fans sure think so. And if the Dolphins brass is as strategic as we think they are, then RASUL wasn't brought in just to cover slot receivers or handle dime packages. He's here to lead, to mentor, to elevate, and maybe, just maybe, to be the missing link in a Super Bowl caliber roster. We've said it before, and we'll say it again. Nothing in the NFL is official until it's signed, sealed, and press conferenced. But all signs are pointing to something big brewing in Miami. The kind of move that doesn't just make headlines, it shakes the power structure. RASUL Douglas arriving in South Beach might not have been on every fan's off-season bingo card. But now that it's out there, it feels like destiny. A match made not just in talent, but in timing. And if this becomes official in the coming days, expect a media frenzy, a jersey sellout, and a whole lot of opposing offensive coordinators reworking their game plans. Because the Dolphins aren't playing around anymore. They've got the weapons. They've got the ambition. And if RASUL is truly part of this next chapter, then the rest of the league better take notice. Miami's defense just got dangerous. Real dangerous. So, Dolphins fans, keep your eyes on the news cycle, check your notifications, watch the arrival gates. Because if this move turns from rumor to reality, it might just be the most pivotal signing of the entire offseason. RASUL Douglas in Miami isn't just a good idea. It's a potential game changer. And if the Dolphins can turn this quiet power play into on-field dominance, then don't be surprised when January rolls around and they're not just in the hunt, they're dictating the chase. Stay tuned. This one's got all the makings of something special. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.